Greetings Guardians, my name is Bife here. So, we're looking into something a little bit different today. Details that are coming out ahead of Lightfall is going to be the topic of the video conversation today, as well as, well, fish. Today I wanted to focus on what we know about Neomuna, and the strange technology that has developed from it and the strange denizens that apparently inhabit it. Neomuna is without a doubt going to play host to a massive series of revelations about everything from the Golden Age to the collapse, but I think it's also going to be a place of high technology. And when I say high technology, I mean high tech beyond anything that we reached in the Golden Age. It surpasses all of that easily. This is going to be one of those videos where we're going to need more time to get the full picture, because currently what we know is very limited, but for the moment we'll be using this video to talk about the nanite technology of Neomuna, something that we might perhaps refer to in the future as Quicksilver. And we're also going to talk, of course, about a little mysterious friend of ours. Yes, after 2 years or so, the damn spacefish has lore. If nobody knows what I'm talking about, then, yeah, Martin, roll the clip where I get really mad from Twitter.
This is what I brought you here to see.
It's a fish. It's a fish. What do you want? It's a fish! It's a goddamn fish! Yeah, we finally have fish lore. They're called pukas. I'll tell you more about that in just a second. So our story needs a little context before we get into the good stuff, and the good stuff obviously starts with the Exo Stranger. Any discussion of the technology of Neomuna and the Spacefish really needs to start with her, given that she's our only known link in the lore to the Spacefish and Neomuna. We also know to start here, thanks to the items that we get for pre-ordering Lightfall, and in particular the Deluxe Edition or whatever it may be. We know this because of the Quicksilver Storm and the Speed Metal Ghost Shell. Both of these have stories attached to them in their lore tab, and they involve a ghost found in the farthest out reaches of the system by the Exo Stranger. This ghost is identified within the lore as Toki. To the best of my knowledge, Toki has never been mentioned before. Toki is found by the Exo Stranger on a deep space station out near Pluto. It's also here that Elsie finds the Spacefish. A quick note on the chronology of this is that we don't actually know the time in which this took place, but it can be presumed that this occurred before Beyond Light, given that the Spacefish followed her, or at very least it seems like the Spacefish followed her. But anyway, that's all speculating a little far, so for the moment, take a listen to this first exit of Lightfall lore that we get from the Speed Metal Ghost Shell. I should have missed this speck of a station on the way to Pluto, except that, for all it lacks in size, it's surprisingly warm, almost a full degree above the background of space, practically a flare. My ship's engines whir through cooldown as I step out into the landing bay. It's a stock design. Years ago, I could probably tell you which floor plan it used from Fibridine's showroom. Ishtar registration, probably an observatory forgotten in the collapse. But what's waiting past the hatch isn't stock. Atmogear, shiny and new. Someone's been here since the collapse. I on-shoulder my rifle and warm up her power cell. A handprint, grease and dust pressed sharp against the white wall. Sized for a Cabal, but 5 fingers. There's more. A smear of rippling silver and broken bits of something familiar. Too big for a gun, but maybe for that hand. A rustle behind me breaks the silence. I fire. "Don't shoot, Exo," a small voice begs. I'm just Toki." A glowing lens pokes out from behind the doorframe. A ghost. "Why are you here?" "I heard the call." "The call? To a Guardian? There's no humans this far out. Well, I know that now. Her body ripples in the light, looking oddly familiar. What's up with your shell? You like my silver? My friend showed it to me. Another ghost was crazy enough to come out here with you. No, ma'am. I met her here. Her fins coax something into view. A beautiful little mess of ribs and sails with 6 bright eyes appraising me. I reach for it. And Anna's tiny hands pull me into a hug. Her dress is dirty and she's crying. Grandfather's totally gonna freak, I think, as I pet her. It's okay. I'll help. I start as Toki's friend slithers into my hand and coos. I'll help, I realize. So Toki found the fish. It's the fish. But the fish is actually not called a space fish, or damn fish, or any other expletive that I've thrown at it. It's called a puka, P-O-U-K-A. And it's later revealed that this is a juvenile puka on the space station orbiting Pluto. In the process of discovering it, the puka does something really remarkable here, which I think is actually very important to touch on, and it's that it seems to reach deep into Elsie's memory, and it shows her a memory of herself and a very young Anna in their childhood. This is actually much more important of a detail than I think people realize, and there's a reason for it. This reeks of darkness powers. Specifically, the darkness and its abilities specifically revolve around memory and identity. And so, I think it's important to remember that when thinking about how the puka imparted such knowledge, it tapped into Elsie's memory, and very specifically showed it back to her. That to me speaks of a bunch of darkness powers, which I don't really know how to explain in any other way. I do wonder if there's some interesting link, therefore, between the puka and the powers of darkness generally, or if not the darkness generally, perhaps the witness specifically. Remember that the darkness and the witness are 2 different things. Either way, there's another relic that was found by Elsie. To put it simply, it's nanomachines, son. Yeah, simply put, the technology that we have in our hands in the Quicksilver Storm is made via nanotech. However, what we're seeing here is clearly more advanced than our previous run-in with humanity's Golden Age version of nanotech in the form of SIVA. It transcends that technology, and it gives us a valuable insight into the powers of those on Neomuna. This is something that the Exo-Stranger would retrieve and take to the moon of Ganymede. Ganymede is a moon that orbits Jupiter and is one of the 4 Galilean moons, along with Europa, so this is probably in close proximity to everything. Ganymede is also noted to have been the site of major human colonization during the Golden Age, but that's not really the point. The point here is that when we actually look into this, it turns out that the juvenile puka, Elsie Bray, and the odd ghost known as Toki were actually found here testing out the Quicksilver Storm. And we can actually get a log which looks as though it's from the Quicksilver Storm itself. So let's go ahead and decipher that. I'm not going to read everything because a lot of it is just boot code, but I will read the bits that I can distinguish and that are important. So take a listen. This is the Quicksilver Storm's lore tab. Restoring. Proximity 3. Exo model. Bray _ special. Puka brackets juvenile. Unknown. Extreme caution. Paracausal. Unknown. Said we were going home. I don't want to be on Ganymede. There's no one here. Exo. That's the point, Toki. No one dies if this goes grey goo on us. Register unknown as Toki. Exo. This housing and frame replicate the scans I took. Not sure why it won't fire. Biometric equals unrecognized. Toki. If this doesn't work, may I have my pretty silver back? I like it better on me than in a gun. Exo. Your accessory came from a gun. Someone in the outer system using weaponized nanomachines? I haven't seen that. Toki. That shouldn't mean you can just take other people's things. Exo. I've seen everything, Toki. Puka. Contact call 3. Exo. Almost everything. But I can't figure out from the scans how the original design propelled anything. Toki. Isn't why you kept that piece of the original barrel. Exo. No. Someone spent some time etching that motto by hand. Seems respectful to keep it. Toki. I will never understand Guardians. Exo. So, someone out there has a weapon I've never seen before, don't understand, and don't know how to defend against. The closest thing we've seen to this is Siva, and these bugs are far beyond that. Puka. Unison call 1. Exo. Get off that fish. Key equals Puka, designation EXD-SNDG, verified. Exo. Dumb little critter. You'll blow yourself up, go on. Toki. My silver is moving, Elsie. Register Exo model. Bray_special equals Elsie. New user register. Elsie. Elsie. So if this is the barrel, calibrating. Elsie. And this is the magnetic bottle, calibrating. Elsie. Pulling the trigger should section off a round, but then what actually fires? Discharge. Elsie 00000001. Puka. Distress call 1. Toki. What did you do? Elsie. I didn't change anything. The nanite colony must have built each round with a solid state impeller coil. Toki. That's small? That's like Golden Age tech. Elsie. No. We never had anything like this. So what have we learned from all this? Well, I think the important thing to pull away from this is that there was some kind of weird interaction between the Puka and the weapon that ultimately primed everything, and then, when the weapon recognized who Elsie Bray was, it allowed her to fire. More importantly than that, the weapon's AI is registering all of this and knows about the Brays, so there's a lot of Golden Age knowledge that is clearly intact thanks to Neomuna. And we also know something even more important. We've learned that Neomuna has ascended beyond the technological state that we could have found in the Golden Age, and to quite a fascinating degree. Nanotechnology comparable but surpassing Siva gives us a clear nod to the level of power that we'll be seeing. One can only imagine what this technology can do if implemented en masse in the Cloudstriders, who undergo a degree of cybernetic augmentation in order to attain their powers. Remember as well that when Siva nanites were deployed against the Iron Lord's paracausal forces, they were able to destroy them, which is something that you wouldn't expect normally from any kind of causal force. Something that bounds itself within the rules of physics doesn't usually win when it comes to Guardians. If that power can be replicated by anything on Neomuna, then maybe the Cloudstriders have a half-decent chance against the forces of Callus and his darkness-infused cabal. If this is the case, it'll be really fascinating to see that fight unfold. There is also the further question about the space fish, the Puka as it's been put. Do they have some kind of tie to Neomuna? Is there only one of them? Is there something about the technology of Neomuna that recognizes what they are because of some distinct built-in reason? Are the Puka native to Neptune? Maybe. Maybe not. If it's raised on Neptune, then it says a lot about the society on Neomuna and potentially its ties to the powers of darkness. If they have no ties to the Puka, then maybe it's more of a recent phenomenon. Either way, we'll be sure to interact more with the spacefish and the advanced technology of Neomuna in Lightfall. And hopefully this has been an interesting little outing into our first little bit of lore from that. If it was, go ahead and leave a like, and thank you very much for watching. And if you want more Destiny lore content from both the Season of the Plunder, which is when I'm recording this, and Lightfall itself, go ahead and hit subscribe and the bell next to subscribe to turn on those email notifications. Of course, you can also leave your own thoughts and commentary down below in the comments section. But as per usual, know that your viewership is quite enough for me, and that in the meantime, my name is Bife. Por audacia ad astra. I'll see you, Starside.